firm faith in the calendar. Undoubtedly, he becomes a true believer, and he has to abandon all the forbidden things and observe the commandments of Allah. That is why the Holy Prophet said, the first effect of La ilaha illallah is that it should prevent its readers from all the forbidden things. Therefore, the reader of such a sacred kalima must observe the commandments of Allah on all occasions. You should keep them in mind in marriage, in death, in taking meals, while going to sleep, on waking up, on deal, and on all other occasions. He should faithfully observe the commandments of Allah and should give up the forbidden things. The benefits of the kalima. This kalima has many spiritual benefits. The Holy Prophet said, the most distinguished dhikr is La ilaha illallah. Again, he says, read the kalima 100 times every day, for it is the best compensation for one's sins, and no good deed is better than this. And another hadith that says, whoever reads La ilaha illallah 100 times in the morning and 100 times in the evening, he shall have the rewards of one who has released 10 slaves from the posterity of Ishmael. And another hadith, the Holy Prophet says, keep your faith fresh to the reading and observing La ilaha illallah. The next quality is that of namaz, or prayer. It says when a Muslim has firmly believed in kalima tabi'ah, he has made a sacred pledge to obey the commandments of Allah, of which the first and foremost is namaz, or prayer, which must be observed by every adult male and female 5 times a day. In other words, those who perform prayer regularly after believing in the kalima, they practically fulfill their promise with Allah made through the kalima. And those who are not regular at prayer, they practically belie their promise with Allah. As his faithful servants, of them spoke the Holy Prophet, whoever abandoned the prayer intentionally, he became an infidel. In another hadith he says, whoever gave up the prayer, he will be raised among Qurun, Pharaoh, his minister Haman, and the famous hypocrite Ubay bin Khalid on the day of resurrection. Next to the kalima, prayer is the most distinguished thing of all good deeds. It has been mentioned in hadith that the first thing brought to account on the day of judgment will be the prayer. And if one's prayer is perfect in every respect, he will certainly attain salvation. Otherwise, he will be deprived of all the boons and favors of Allah and will suffer a great loss. Therefore, one should observe the prayer at the appointed times with good wudu and complete devotion, so that one may not be raised with the infidel and be delivered from the hellfire. Whatever is read in the prayer, that is Subhana, Allahumma, and Atayya, should be remembered well. That no mistake should occur during the prayer. One must know the farad, the sunnah, and all the conditions of prayer, so that it may be correct. And by having concentration, it should be performed well. A great merit of prayer is that all the limbs of the worshiper, namely his hands, his feet, his head, waist, nose, forehead, tongue, etc., are wholly and solely devoted to Allah. That is, every part of the worshiper's body is engaged in an exercise of the obedience of God's commandments. If a Muslim performs the prayer with all its conditions, he is not likely to commit sin with any limb in times other than the prayer. It has been mentioned in the Holy Quran that the prayer prevents a Muslim from shameful and forbidden things. The believers have been commanded hundreds of times in the Quran, in the Holy Quran, to perform the prayer properly. In Hadith also, the prayer has been enjoined and emphasized many a time. For instance, the Holy Prophet said, one's sins from one prayer to another are forgiven by Allah. In another hadith it says, if one has a stream at one's door and he has a bath in it 5 times a day, he will have no dirt on his body. Similarly, if one performs the prayer 5 times a day, his sins will be pardoned by Allah and he will be clean of them. In another hadith, the Holy Prophet says, when your children are 7 years old, ask them to perform the prayer. When they're 10 years old, they'll beat them to perform the prayer. Prayer with congregation, says the Holy Prophet in the hadith, the prayer with congregation is granted a reward 27 times more than the prayer performed alone. It has also been mentioned in hadith that the Holy Prophet intended to burn the houses of those who did not go to the mosque to perform the prayer with congregation. But he abstained from doing so because of children and women. It says Ibn Mas'ud, Allah be pleased with him, during the ages of the Holy Prophet, only the fellows dared neglect the prayer who was a declared hypocrite. It has also been mentioned in Hadith that performing the night prayer with congregation begets the reward of prayers till midnight. And performing the morning prayer with congregation begets the reward of prayers during the whole of the night. The right way to perform ruku and sajda, says the Holy Prophet in Hadith, Allah does not look at the prayer of one who does not keep his waist straight in the prayer. In another Hadith it says, the worst kind of thief or theft is the theft of prayer. His companions asked, what is the theft of prayer? And he answered, the theft of prayer is not to perform the ruku, bending down on knees, and sajda, or prostration, properly, with full time and attention. A prayer out of time. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, it is the prayer of the hypocrite to cause delay in prayer and to wait for the sunset so that when it gets pale, he gets up to perform it just as a custom, and he remembers Allah but little. The knowledge and dhikr, another quality. Ilm and zikr. There are 2 important subjects in this lesson. First, knowledge, and second, dhikr. That is, the remembrance of Allah. And there are so many sayings of the Holy Prophet which stress the utility or the benefit and distinction of these 2 things. For instance, Hadith says, beware, this world and whatever is in it is cursed by Allah, with the exception of prayers and dhikr, and the religious scholar and the religious student. Therefore, every Muslim should try his best to achieve the high standards of knowledge and dhikr. Knowledge, or ilm. Only the knowledge is appreciated by Allah, which takes a man nearer to him.